content of invoices of the availability of ITC for the invoices not contains any of the specific particulars but does not contain the following details. ITC available for can be available in the following person. Description of goods and service, total value of supply of service and goods and service of both, to amount of tax creditors, GST of the supply and creditors, and place of supply in case of interstate supply. Inward supply means capital goods equal to goods which are capitalized in the books. Inward input is equal to goods other than capital goods. Input service equal to any service goods. TM delivery explanation and introduction to when the goods are delivered to any person or service are provided to any person, and this instruction of the recipient or the date in which such a person who has received goods or service, it is deemed that the recipient has received the goods and service. In the case of bill to ship transaction, billing address can be availed ITC. Goods received in lots or installment. First approval section 16. ITC can be available only on the receipt of the last lot and installment of goods. Reversal of the ITC on non-payment of consideration to supplier. Second provision section 16.2. If the recipient has not made the payment or not made any payment of value tax to supplier within 80 days from the date of invoice, then so much of the ITC appropriation to the amount of not paid to the supplier available by the supplier shall be reversed based on the along the interest of 18% from the date of after the date of declaration of ITC till the date of reversal. However, the interest is not payable in availment of ITC in not utilized. Above provision not applicable. Supply covered under the RCM section 9.3. Supply without consideration section 7.1c. Payment to the credit party on behalf of the supplier section 15.2b. The ITC can be re-available as when the payment is made to supplier within 180 days from the interest pay but interest pay cannot be availed as ITC, but there is no time limit for re-availment. ITC not available in the case of depreciation computed on GST section 3. If depreciation section 32 of income tax and ITC computed on the full invoice value including GST, then the ITC can't be available. Purchase of capital goods 10 lakhs GST and 2 lakhs depreciation is of 11,20,000, then the ITC of 120,000 is not available. Okay. And time limit for availment of IT section 16.4. The respect of the invoice from the of the financial year 30th September of the next financial year due date of annual filing, which was earlier. No, the time limit is not applicable in the case of re-availment of ITC reversal earlier. In the case of debit note, availment of ITC depends on the debit note date, but not on the date of invoice related to the debit note. Apportionment of the credit section 17.1, 17 to 73. Inward supplies are used exclusive in the taxable, outward supply and business purpose ITC available. Inward supplies are used exclusive in the exempted non-business purpose that the ITC can not available. Inward supplies use of both the taxable and exempted, outward supplies for type proportionate ITC. Inward supplies used for the both business proportionate and non-business purpose proportionate for ITC available. Exclusive taxable purpose no. Exclusive exempted and non-business IT is not available. Inverse use both taxable and proportional ITC. Inverse use of both non-business purposes proportional ITC. Zero rated supplies will be converted as a taxable covered under taxable and purpose of availment of ITC. Meaning of exempted supply. This definition is only the purpose of non-availment of ITC. Supplies are notified as exempted other than the interest on loans or discussed. Supply notified as exempted. Null rated supplies and non-taxable supplies covered under RCM supply or RCM reversal mechanism cannot be made under the ITC, but recipient taken ITC. Sale of land in case of where the value can be deemed to be taxable stamp duty value. The sale of building where the entire compensation is conceived other than the obtaining complete certificate. On the customer whichever yearly value shall be stamp duty value. Where sale of security in the case where the value shall be deemed to be 1% of sale or total security. And services by way of accepting deposit, they extend in the loans and advances as far as the consideration represent by way of interest and discount, except in the case of banking company or financial institution NBFC. Rule 42 of CGST rules, a manner of availment of ITC with respect to inputs and input services. So T1, T2, T3, 4 non-business purposes ITC with respect to total inward supplies, exempted as supplies, and block ITC, taxable ITC. So common credit is equal to T1 total ITC minus non-business minus exempted minus block ITC minus taxable business purpose, taxable and business purposes, or actually is equal to C1. C1 is what? C1 is equal to T1 taxable minus taxable minus 2 plus 3. C1 minus T4. Okay. Common credit C2. Common credit can be expected supplies. D is equal to C2 minus expected minus full exempted supply and the total supply, and D2 is equal to common credit to the non-business purposes 5% ad hoc basis. ITC available GS 3B minus less available for the product and less eligibility for ITC. C3 is computed based on the ITC, GST, SGS, and ITC. T1, T2 will be computed for the whole financial year for the taking exempt turnover and aggregate turnover for the whole financial year. It is amount is more than the amount earlier added to the output liability paid every month. The different amount will be added to the output tax liability on the case of month. It will be September of exceeding year. Along with interest of 18% was April exceeding year till the date of payment. If the amount is less than the amount added on output tax liability every month, then additional amount paid to be claimed the bank and the credit in the return of any amount in September of the next year. 1224 of CGST rules the manner and availment of ITC with respect to capital goods. ITC capital goods used for taxable purpose or business purpose can be used. ITC used for capital goods are used for taxable supply business can be used. Exempted supplies or business use purpose can be used. Capital goods 3 can be used. Treatment of the capital goods 2, the availment of ITC 100% for 100% of GST paid transfer to the electronic cash ledger. Compute monthly credit ITC available 60 months. Assume life of capital 5 years or 16 months. The next 16 months, the date of the purchase, the monthly ITC attributable to exempted monthly ITC is called exempted supply for the month. Total as of the month. The amount available to add to the output tax liability every month for the next 16 months along with the interest 18 months for the date of availment of ITC till the date of addition to the output tax liability paid. The above procedures not required for the month when the capital goods are sold and the GST payable on the second date. Internal purpose and CG1 a later point of CG capital goods too. On the ITC already available time of purchase, so it need to be common avail common credit. Monthly ITC is equal to original ITC divided by 60. Proportionate reversal of the time date of conversion of balance useful life. The initial purchase of CGS and the later point of CG2. ITC not available at time of purchase, so it's been available now. The cost of original goes paid. Ineligible ITC reverse for the period in which is exempted. Is equal to GST, but is equal to 5% of the number of quotas which the GST date of purchase till the date of conversion. Monthly ITC original ITC by 60%. Proportionate reversal from the date of conversion useful life. Special provision availment of ITC or banking company and financial institution. For rule 42-43 availment proportion ITC avail 50% eligible ITC order. In the case of option to exclusively used for non-banking purpose and blocked credits section 3, ITC can only be available 50% computed or remaining ITC including for expected supplies and used for taxable supplies. In the case of option 2, restricted 50% shall not apply the tax paid on supplier made on another register with the same entity with no need to reverse 50% of inward supply for the received person. Option can excise cannot be withdrawn during the remaining period of the year. Blocked credit section 105 of IGST Act. Motor vehicle right, motor vehicle for transportation vehicles and aircraft. Motor vehicles capacity less than 13 for the supply and used for business transportation passenger driving school ITC available. As other buses ITC not available. Capacity 13 ITC storage carrier contract carriage bus transportation vessels and aircraft further supply used for business transportation passenger driving schools used for transportation ITC available. Other ITC available. ITC available for trucks and lorries etc. Repair, maintenance, insurance, service and hiring motor vehicles and aircraft. If ITC available for motor vehicles, aircraft, it's ITC available on the score. If ITC not available under the motor vehicles, vessels and aircraft, ITC not available on the scores. While determining the capacity driver used should be including driver 13. Further supply include the purchase and sale of motor vehicles used for business business of renting or hiring or leasing. Motor vehicles are used in the business of hiring. Repair, insurance and service of motor vehicles received by the general common are also eligible for ITC. Hiring, renting and leasing of motor vehicles on the statutory obligation for the employer employees are eligible for ITC. Statutory obligation can be under law. Ambulance and caravans not on motor vehicles or the transportation passenger. Construction related. Any service or work contract service and good service. Any service or contract service purchase and receive in relation to construction immovable property ITC is not available on the inward supplies. Work contract involve transfer of property and goods as well as the provision of service in single construction. Exemption above discussion is not applicable to supplier. If the work contract receive construction service for the construction of immovable property, then ITC can be available construction service. pick up with the contract receives construction services for construction of immovable property, construction of plant and machinery, even through immovable property, plants and machinery, telecommunication towers and pipelines and lay outside factory. The construction expenditure section, the charge and section P and L, then is also ITC can be availed in the above inward supplies. The sale of building, promoters, builders, and even charge under supply. SGST 1.5%, 7.5%, SGS 12%, 18%. ITC not available, even such inward supply is not blocked. ITC available in inward supply after the block related section 75. Inward supply. Inward supply membership of club, health and fitness club, exemption provided employer to employee shall be statutory obligation. Travel expense to employees on vacation and leave travel expenses, exemption provided by the employer to employee under the statutory obligation. Non-resident taxable person, exemption import of goods by the non-resident person. Food, beverages, outdoor catering, beauty, technical, cosmetic, plastic surgery, the life insurance are essentially inward supplies and outward supplies are same. Inward supply is part of the composition mix supply and provide that the employer employees shall under standard obligation balance from a person opting for composition scheme from a personal consumption for goods lost, stolen, destroyed, returned off, and disposal by the VA of gifts and the gifts and fee sample treated as section 71 ITC not required to be reversed under the to be reversed or not required to be reversed or in non-inward supply. If the GST is paid on 74 and 29 and 30 in the case of recovery proceedings, GST is not missed on the ITC and cannot be availed. And the ITC special circumstances section 18 of CGST Act, section 18 availment of ITC and closing stock, section and situation closing section liable to get registered and applied within 30 days. 1318A voluntary got registered 1881C registered person migrate from the composition scheme to scheme and registered person exempted supplies became taxable. Closing stock input closing stock is input in the stock, input contained in the work in progress stock. Now input contained in the fixed goods in the stock, finished goods in the matching is not required. Voluntary and the person migrate from composite input and stock, input inventory in the working progress stock, input contains in the financial worker and capital goods matching are required in the case of migrating and supplies example. On which cases in the immediate proceeding date on which you are able to get registered, immediate proceeding date or date of registration, immediately before the date of registration, immediately before the date of information. Into a time limit. The above closing stock, including capital asset, should be purchased within 1 year. ITC with respect of GST paid on the input can be available ITC. In the case of capital goods, ITC can be paid minus 5% the number of quotas for the data of purchase till the data of migration conversion. In the electric declaration, GST or 1TC shall be made by the registered person the 30 days on the extent of the time of the commissioner for the data of eligible availment of IT section 81. For this declaration shall be certified by the practicing CEA if the claim is greater than 2 lakh rupees. Section 18C transaction transfer of ITC, where there is a change in the constitution of registered person on account of sale, merger, demerger, amalgamation, lease and transfer of a personal within the specific borrowings, provisional transfer of property, then the registered person shall be allowed to transfer the ITC with the remaining utilization of electronic credit ledger, the sold, merger, demerger, amalgamation, lease on the transfer business. And transfer furnish details and transfer transaction of a sale business on form GSTR1 electronically common portal in the purpose of transfer unutilized credit electronically credit ledger of transfer. In the certificate CME is certified in the transfer details of acceptance transfer. In the case of demerger, the creditor shall transfer the new entity and the ratio of the new entity whether ITC available or not asset and demerger. The transfer or change in ownership of the business will include the transfer or change in ownership of business due to death of a sole proprietor. A transfer shall be same rate restricted as per the GST portal. When the single register get covered into multiple registration within the state, and then ITC against a single registration can be distributed to multiple registration. The file form GST or ITC 01 asset ratio as the date of new registration should be considered for the purpose. Section 18.4 29.5 reversal of ITC closing stock. ITC reversal is called ITC available. So input work in progress, finished good input to capital goods. ITC reverse is equal to input available divided by 16 months. The balance is like 1/4 of say normal scheme to composition scheme. Normal supply, taxable supply, exempt supply, cancellation registration. Again 209. Additional point: input and capital goods can be purchased any time in the ITC available. If the IT is not available, the input and capital goods and the reversal shall not arise. And if the capital goods are purchased before 5 years and ITC availed, then the reversal shall not arise. If the notice invoice returning such a lack input not available, and the market value 31st March can be considered as a practicing CE certificate required for base. Detail of the reversal need to be reported in GSTR 01. The balance of the ITC after reversal it shall be elapsed. If there is any shortfall in reversal, then such shortfall shall be payable using cash ledger. The computation has made as CGST, SGST, DGST, GST payable under 18th. When the capital goods are supplied on the ITC available, GST payable shall be IGS over ITC available minus 5% every quarter for the form of the due date till the time. GST payable the value of capital goods determined adjustment. As sections not applicable except for fraction bricks, mounts and dice, jigs and fixes and separate and crab in case of GST payable normal sale value. Job work conversion section 19 Red section 143 and GST capital goods to be received in 3 years sent for job work. Input goods to be received within 1 year. Sent from principal research supplies, and then if the goods if the capitals or input is not received in time, deemed as supply on the data sent of the principal. If the sent directly from the principal supplier place of business, if the capital goods or input are received in the time, deemed as supply and the time of on the date of receipt of the job work. ITC not required to be reversed by the supplier when the goods are sent on job work, and such goods should be sent under the cover of delivery channel e-payable. Even the goods are directly received on the job work, ITC can be availed by the principal. Additional point, job workers can avail ITC with respect of input and input service time used for job work. If processed goods and capital goods are returned by the job worker after first year or third year, it is treated as a new supply by job worker and chargeable to GST, which is mean available ITC by principal. And the period of 1 year in the case of processed goods, or 3 years on the capital goods are sufficient cost by extending by the commissioner for the further period not exceeding 1 or 2 years respectively. Job work not registered principal should declare job work place as an additional place of business or supplier. Jurisdiction officer must initiate about a job work contract proceeding. Work goods must be bought back to principal, can sold directly from the job work place. Return form GST or YTC for ATO principal play of figure half year by 25 October 25. The ATO present less than annual 25th April. Input service distributor. Section 2021 of CGST was already separate business required. The distributor of ITC, GST, CGST, DGST, IGST issued by SD invoice. Receipt of tax invoice from the input tax file and distribute to them based upon the same fund. CGST as the distributor, the CGST as GST for the unit in the same state, IT and of ISD and distributor to IGST in the different state of GST. Input server distributor and IT distributor. 1 unit is equal to that 1 unit. 2 or more unit, then such a 2 or more unit turnover ratio. For to all unit common, all units which are operating based on the turnover ratio. Turnover of previous year or last quarter which was considered based on the available. Additional points, the IT is to be distributed on the monthly basis, return to be filed on GSTR 9 13th of month of following year. Excess distributed ITC can be reversed by issuing ISD credit note. Shortfall in the distributed on the distributor using ISD invoice. The distribution credit shall does not exceed credit available. If the ISD is distributed excess paid credit and the recipient excess can be recovered from the recipient asset on 1621. ISD should obtain compulsory registration irrespective of the aggregate turnover. While computing the turnover section for Rule 42 and Rule 43 of Section 20, all indirect taxes and excise duty central tax base value added shall be excluded. Section 18, 16 issue if a PO is outside India on the point of sale outside India, can the recipient in India avail ITC again? Provision the law do not restrict the availment of ITC by the recipient location in India. If the place of supply has a said input services outside India, that recipient shall be eligible for ITC. The excess person registered on the GST in the state of West Bengal who extend export goods, the person while located in Singapore avails a service for the transportation of goods by air to Singapore for year operator who is registered under GST in the state of West Bengal. The can claim ITC with respect of service available as the point of sale is a lease end point of goods that is 12 IGST at Singapore. Therefore, the X can be eligible to take ITC, GST in respect of supply of service received from him. Similarly, the fulfillment of other conditions laid down in Section 16. So X is a registered person who's intend to export goods to a person via finance. So export goods avail service from the transportation of the goods by the ocean. And is it car property who is registered GST and state of West Bengal. Exemption in GST. Agricultural data service, any service related to agriculture practice exempted. Agriculture means cultivation of lands, rearing of all life forms exempted, rearing of horses, all food, fuels or raw materials, other agriculture produce means and produce of agriculture on which either further process done and the processing is done actually by the cultivator producer does not alter the essential characters of the essential market. Like paddy and agriculture produce, but rice in agriculture is the rice only loading, unloading and packing, storing warehouses exempted. Artificial consumption livestock exempted. Service by your storage warehouse, cereals, pulses, nuts, jaggery, raw materials. Storage is this all not exempted. Warehouse of minor forest product exempted. The fumigation of agriculture exempted is omitted, and slagging of animals is exempted. Warehousing of fruits, vegetables, other also procure is one above. Okay, insurance services following exempted. Services of the life insurance business provided by the pay of annuity under the national scheme exempted. Group of life insurance following the Army, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard, Central exempted. Service to general insurance business provided under government schemes targeted to agriculture farmers and BLB below poverty line of women and infant and private and Neriyama health insurance also exempted. Life insurance various government schemes like ended with the word Yojana and micro life insurance schemes of Ashuras 1 2 lakhs exempted. Insurance service provided to government exempted. Insurance to any exempted insurance house also exempted in a service provided by the business facilitator, business correspondent to insurance companies or exempted. Banking and other financial services. SP outside India import of service. So Bank of India, SP India, so tax service taxable. So import of service RBI outside India taxable RCM. So other India others SP service taxable FCM, SP overseas services taxable RCM. So it's yes transaction in money for separate consideration such transactions data service consideration of interest versus exempted other consideration interest and credit cards taxable forward such condition without consideration such a transaction in neither goods nor service. A service provided by the banking company to basic savings deposit account holder under the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana forex transaction including money charging. Supplier recipient GST, bank to bank exempted, forex dealer to forex dealer exempted, bank to forex dealer exempted, forex dealer to bank, forex to bank to customers taxable FCM basis. Wow. Service by acquiring bank to any person relating to settlement of amount up to 20,000 single transaction through credit card, debit card charges or any other payment GST processing for transaction up to 2,000 is exempted. Service of following persons there is a capacity. The banking facilitator acquiring bank by any acquiring bank any person relating to settlement of the account. Service by following persons respective capacity. The person facilitator business correspondent to banking companies which respect to the amount of a rural bank exempted to rural bank area taxable. BC service to FCM or FP cases RCM. Any person is intermediate to the banking facilitator or business correspondent with respect to a service mentioned earlier. If the main agent is exempted, then the sub agents are also exempted. Agent of BC bank account RCM agent is exempted. Service by intermediate financial service located in multinational SEZ and IFSC status of a customer located outside India for the international financial services and currency other than Indian as intermediate can receive consideration INR of foreign currency and other purpose such as service shall foreign export of service and POS location and supplier of certain IGST. Healthcare services following exempted. The healthcare services are by the clinical establishment authorized personal practitioner or paramedical or normal service exempted. Cardboard way of exempted. Healthcare service in relation to the animals and exempted. Service a common biomedical waste treatment omitted. Room charges collected by the clinical establishment providing health. So ICU charges and IUCC charges and IUC charges and NUC exempted. Other charges for exceeding 5,000 charges under 5,000 entirely taxable. Healthcare, pre-treatment, diagnosis, treatment, post-treatment by care of disease, illness, inquiry, pregnancy, any recognized system of medical insurance, transaction in the ambulance, but does not include cosmetic, plastic surgery, and hand harassment, other than restoration of body person effect due to the cognitive defect and development of abnormality, injuries, and trauma. Clinical establishment, hospital, nursing homes, and clinic other place where the health insurance provider. Authorized medical practitioner having a minimum MBBS degree and practicing Indian medical council. Paramedics, nurse, lab assistants, and psychotherapists. Renting of homes to the patient, hospitals, food supplies, and inpatients are part of healthcare service exempted. Circular service provided by the consulting doctors, hospital also exempted. Service provided by your assistant, reproductive technology, avoid fertility, or treat infertility, I think is exempted. Service provided by the rehabilitation professions. The organized under the Rehabilitation Council of India Act by rehabilitation, therapy, counseling, medical establishment, education institution, rehabilitation centers, established central government, common entity, other center, section 12A, 12AB Income Tax Act, so it's accepted. Following entries of ticket exempted irrespective of ticket price, a ticket more than less than 500 museum, wildlife sanctuary, tiger reserve, reserve, natural park, zoo, entry to protect monument, FIFA Women's World Cup 2020 to be held in India whenever rescheduled, and AFC Women Asian Cup 20 are exempted. Ticket price less than 500. Circulars, dances, award functions, theatrical performance, concert, music performance, and pregnant sporting events and planetarium. Contribution under the Atal Pension Yoजना or any other goods operated pension is exempted. Service by a specialized organization. Service provided by SEBI, ESIC, EPO of IIDA, NCCT, Foreign Domestic Diplomatic Mission, Dr. India, CMPO, NPS, EPIC, Employee State Insurance Corporation, EPOF, Employee Provident Fund Organization, NCCT, National Center of Coal Chain Development, NPS, National CMFPO, Coal Mines Provident Fund Organization. Charitable relationship service by entities registered under Section 12A, 12AB of Income Tax Act. Charitable activities, public health, advancement of spirituality, yoga, education program to orphans, physically, mentally traumatized children, prisoners, and person over 65 years residing in the rural areas, environment person. And a person a service by way of old age home run by central government, state government, charitable under Section 12A, 12AB to the residents aging 60 years or more against the residents up to 25,000 per month member for consideration charge inclusive of charges of boarding and lodging and maintenance. Example, service by way of by any person by way of conduct of religious ceremony. Example, service by way of specified organization religious programs. Kailash, Mansarovar, Hajj, exempted. Education service exempted. Service provided by education institution by way of conduct of entrance examination and the concept of the upfront fees, entry fees exempted. The central government, state government board as treated as an education institution for the limited purpose of providing service by way of conduct of education to students. Therefore, the National Board of Examination, National Testing Agency, and education institution as far as provide service by way of conducting an entrance examination to prepare as exempted. The amount paid on the training provided by the Dean Dayal Uptaya Gandhi Kaushala Yojana providing training for accreditation to vocational education course certificate by the National Council of Vocational Training Center. Any service provided by a National Skill Development Corporation, central government, and sector skill council approved by NSAIDC and an assessment exempted in relation to any notified program on courses and scheme of the government. Service provided by education institution to student facilitated exempted up to 12% exempted. Students obtaining qualification recognition law exempted. Of law approval, vocational education exempted. Approval fees for entrance of fees charged by issuing eligible certificate, fees collected by issuing migrant certificate or ex-students is exempted. Service provided by education institution. Category 1, category 3, transportation students category 1, catering category 1, security category 1, housekeeping category 1, admission to all category 2, and conducting examination all category 2, online periodical journals only for category 2. The CBSE exemption of GST is provided to the service applied by education institution including Angawadi, which is provided preschools, which is a way of serving of food including midday meals and other midday meal schemes sponsored by government irrespective of the funding of supplied by government grants and corporate donations. Training in recreational activities related to arts and culture by individual. Training in recreational activities relating to which is registered under section 12A and 12AB. Service by assessment bodies under skill development institution. A service provided by the central government, state government, UIT and LTU. Service provided by covered supplies. Department of Post exempted. The following exempted: postcard, inland card, employees, weighted less than 10 grams exempted. Transportation of goods and service passengers. The photo transportation charge exempted. Service to the aircraft or vessels, including outboard of precinct of airport are accessible. Service to aircraft accessible. Service provided by the business entity. Specific exemption, rental exemption, other exemption taxes accessible. Other services exempted up from supply. Specific exemption and the charges collected under the right to information exempted. Inter-department service exempted. Right to telecom spectrum allocation 11 before one-time charges, annual charges exempted. Right to use annual resources from before 1416 is exempted one time. Right to use natural resources to individual farmer assigned income both one-time charges, annual charges exempted. Merchant overtime charges over custom exempted. Safety certificate charges exempted. Consideration to tolerating an act exempted. Consideration tolerating of an act exempted. Specification share of profit petroleum revenue profit operation minus cost of relative for assigning a right to extract petroleum crude and natural gas with the GST goods received in the profit of extraction and additional to royalty exempted. Registration under any of the law. Fees for the birth and the certificate exempted. Driving license exempted. Visa accepted. Guarantee commission or guarantee of loans by the PSC exempted. Guarantees of royalty collections of contract extent of variety royalty exempted. Fees guarantee of national permit to the goods carried operating through the Indian contingency state exempted. General exemption service other than served under the specific exemption provided by the business entity to ATO on the previous year less than threshold of the registered. However, exemption is not available to rent or immovable property service other than those covered in the specific exemption provided by the business entity on value of less than 5,000 per invoice. However, this exemption is applicable to renting and immovable property. Fines and breach of law is considered and subsequently is not apply. So liability to pay GST in the case of service provided by governments. Department of Post, airports, FCMBCs, mechanism, and transport of goods and passengers, for transportation charge, service to business entity, renting, if accepted to register, RCMBCs. If recipient is registered, if a recipient is unregistered, FCMBCs. Services to business entity other than renting, RCMBCs. Circular number 190 is accommodation service provided by the Air Force mess or other service means such as Army mess, Navy mess, paramilitary and police force mess, and these personals and persons other business entities covered under exemptions. Service provided to government. The service provided by any person by government, central government, state government, with respect to function of interest, Article 243G to 242 of the pure services to the exemption are compulsion supply of goods and services which value of goods less than 25% of the provision to government and the so function minus a pure service exempted composite supply or service where such goods is less than 25% total value exempted. So with respect of the exemptions only are not available. The services provided to the central government authorities, government exemptions available only services are provided to government. CP circle the compulsion supply of service by way of milling of wheat into wheat flour along with forfeiture of any other person to state government to distribute such wheat flour where public distribution systems not eligible exemption such a value in invoice greater than 20%. Any training program which is greater than 70% total expenditure bond message is taxable. Service provided by the institution NGO under the general scheme of scholarship of students with disabled, its total expenditure is borne by the government. Renting, leasing and licensing following movable property, hiring by means of transportation than or lorries 12% is than 12% exempted. Hiring means of transportation of goods to GTA exempted. Hire purchase an electric vehicle that can carry 12% more exempted. Hire buses to a person providing transportation service to education institution up to all standardized exempted. Person providing More property, land and building. Upfront charges are preferential location charges at the long-term leases greater than 30 years industry, a plot for development and infrastructure for financial state government operation. Following section. Renting business property for residential purpose for the unregistered person exploring. Renting to registered person for this family stay is treated as a renting unregistered person and it is exempted. Renting of housing. Renting of permits of the religious place means central bus registered on the trust under the income tax. Accommodation recently was exempted. Voluntary all taxable, everything is taxable now. No exempted under. Liability to pay tax in the renting of motor vehicles. Supply other than BC recipient BC and applicability 5% in this RCM and RCM is sports vehicles. Recognized sports body sponsorship activities exempted and sponsorship activities exempted. Sponsorship activities exempted. Rainy was proprietary. The IPL recognized sports activity and this supplier to recipient as supplier to recipient. So any other creator, selector, technical expert given to them is taxable. Player, referee, umpire, coach training is exempted, and service to unrecognized sports is taxable for several mechanisms, and them to Tata board is taxable. Now, recognized board by National Sports Federation, Inter University Sports University, Paramedic Committee, Indian Olympic Association, Central Civil Service, Cultural and Sports Board, and Panchayat Board. Service from one recognized board to another recognized board is exempted. Scenarios to then unique corporation boards and non-profit entity the following exempted as a trade union for providing exempted service as a residential welfare association up to 7,500 exempted as an some industrial or agricultural labor associate entity promoting training commerce up to 1,000 per members exempted. Okay. Welfare association 7,100 but in the case of 1,000 is exempted. In the case of resident welfare association collects amount exceeding 7,500 in the member the entire amount is taxable. Taxable of passenger following exempted. Railway other than first class AC taxable exempted. Metro, mono, trail and other exempted. Airways starting and ending of economic also is NES. Northern Eastern State and Manipur, Mizoram, Tripura, Nagaland, Assam, Sikhism, Arunachal, Meghalaya. The exemption available in the case of Sagarwata EQ. Consideration is viable for the gap funding of 3 years. Funding inland water exempted. Coastal water within India other than tourism purpose exempted. Roadways, non-AC storage carriers exempted. Non-AC contract carriers other than high-end tourism exempted. Metro, cab, autos are exempted. Transportation and goods following exempted. Railways, airways, waterways, service. Railway specific goods water outside India to India, inland waterways and coastal waterways in other than GTA. Transportation goods by waterways by outside India to India is taxable with respect of taxable by goods or airways, waterways and landways outside India is taxable. GTA service following outside India exempted. Specific goods exempted. Inland waterways, coastal within India is exempted. Other than GTA service as well as goods for the waterway from outside India to inside is taxable. Okay, GTA service specific goods are exempted. Recipient, recipient of state government, central government, UTA, registered under the reduction TDS and section 51. Exempted recipient of individual HE of AJP and all the unregistered and not having factory exempted. In the case of transportation goods on road consignment not to be registered. Agriculture purpose exempted. Food graining, food flour, pulse, milk, salt exempted. Organic money exempted. Newspaper, magazine exempted. Defense and military equipment exempted. Relief materials and man-made places exempted. In other way, JTA either forest mineral percentage is 5%, RCM 5%, whichever select option given to a financial. Circular hiring of vehicles for transportation of employees to and on the workplace under the service transportation of passengers for non-AV contractor for the hire and the same taxable. Hire under the hire for the period of time during which carriage contract carriage and the disposal of service recipient. Amount catered on the passenger transportation passenger in a private ferry in the coastal water fall under the public transportation of passenger in the vessel and it is exempted. However, it's predeterminary of terrorism, then it's acceptable.